Welcome to First Responder Financial Freedom Podcast. We talk to first responders all over the nation who are investing and working on businesses outside of their first responder jobs. Our goal is to motivate and educate each other and help provide a better financial understanding for a better future. Now here are your hosts, Mike Webb, Tyler Thrush, and Aaron Foster.
Freedom, the normal first responder financial freedom started. The normal Mike, Tyler, me, and my friend Jamie McMahon, who's also a firefighter where I work at. He was one of the recruits when I was teaching, and now he's one of the guys in charge of me. So I feel really bad for him. But Jamie's going to be doing a lot of informative information today about credit cards and using points and moving money around and how to use it to your benefit rather than them using you to their benefit. So, Jamie, thanks for hopping on with us today. As I stutter over a couple of words, can you tell me a little bit about where you came from before you worked for the fire department, how you ended up there, and how you got into the points game?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on, guys. So, I grew up in the Midwest. I grew up in suburban Chicago. I'm a Cubs fan, Bears fan through and through. I went to school up in Madison, Wisconsin, and graduated and made my way out to the East Coast. The job market back in 2008, 2009 was not the greatest in the Midwest, just after the housing crash of 2008. So cities were bankrupt. They weren't hiring public servants. They were laying people off. Right. It wasn't a good time to get into the fire service looking for a full-time job anyway. Plenty of volunteer opportunities, of course, but nothing for full-time. So I tested anywhere and everywhere I could. I tested as far west as Colorado and as far east as Massachusetts, and I ended up right here in the Mid-Atlantic with Washington, D.C.
That's right.
It was a pretty good option for me, and it worked out to the benefit of me and my family, and we love it here and love the job, and made a lot of friends and a lot of great family out here on the East Coast. So,
Jamie, how did you start investing in, not investing, that's the wrong word. How did you start getting into the points for credit cards?
Yeah, so I got into it a little bit in 2016. Again, they have the fire department to thank for. Back in 2016, I was assigned to Hazmat 1, which housed with Engine 12, and I was brand new there, and they said, guess what? You're new, you get to take over the house fund. And so those who don't know what the house fund is, it's the guy who gets the crappy job of buying all the supplies for the fire department, the firehouse, stuff that the city doesn't provide for us, right? So they don't provide any of our condiments, our pots and pans, our coffee, our silverware, all of our miscellaneous things, that your normal household items that you would normally have at your home. So when we go to work, obviously, it's our home for 24 hours, so we want to have niceties like we have at our regular house, right? So one person is in charge of buying all that stuff. And so, of course, along with that, it doesn't come with any extra pay, of course, and it's just a giant responsibility, a monkey on your shoulders. And then when something goes wrong, of course, you're the guy that everybody complains to immediately. That's something that we're out of coffee, that we're out of cups, out of sugar, what have you, right? So I was like, this is ridiculous. I would go to the Sam's Club and I'd spend hundreds of dollars, $1,000 at a sitting over the course of a couple of months, or in one charge at a time. I was like, something has got to be better. There's got to be a better option here. I've got to be able to get something back for me in order for doing this, right? Because I certainly don't get any accolades from the guys. I don't get any extra pay for doing this. So there's got to be something in it for me, right? And that's how you make it work for yourself. There's got to be something in it for me. So I think I just did some like credit card rewards. I had a couple at the time, and I was like, well, this isn't doing anything for me. So I got on the Google and I did the credit card rewards. I found the points guy, and I just fell deep down the rabbit hole. And I was like, man, here I am, 20, what was I, 30 years old at the time, 31 years old. And I was like, this whole thing, this whole lifestyle, this whole process has been out here this entire time, and here I am in my early 30s, and I had no idea, right? And so that just got me into it. And since then, since 2016, I have currently 21 cards to my name, and each and every single one of them earn me different points or miles or cash back. And I've since left the hazmat, got promoted, and at a truck company up the street. No longer run the house fund, which is a great relief off my shoulders, but still play the game, right? I have a family of five, and I'm just a regular guy. I can't afford first class flights to take my family normally, so this is a way to do that just by everyday spend, right? Just by spending at the grocery store or spending at going out to restaurants or what have you. Normal everyday spend, right? Nothing crazy. And this is how I reward myself and my family for just doing a little bit of research and making their credit cards work for you, basically.
So most credit card companies actually, when they charge you, I think it's average like 16 to 24% on nationally. So they
Absolutely.
expect you not to pay the credit card off, and they make money off of you not paying the credit card off every single month.
That's
And this
100%
way,
true. Yeah.
the way you're looking at it is, I'm going to use my credit card to build up points and use it to pay for other things in my life, like travel expenses, fuel, food, gas, whatever it might be, right?
That's exactly it. Yep. And I use that at the house fund at 12 Engine to my advantage, right? So we had the guys who put in a certain amount of money for the year. I had a bank account with a certain amount of money in it. I would go to Sam's Club. I would spend $500 or more, right, on that, and then I would use my card, get the points, get the cash back, and then pay it off immediately with the house fund money. So,
do you happen to know what the total house fund was expenses for the year, or around about?
oh gosh,
Because we pay. So here's why I ask: we pay $100 a man. We have between 12 and 15 guys assigned to each platoon times 4 platoons. So we expense out everything about $100 per person throughout the year. So it's $10,000 in payments probably throughout the course of the year.
Yeah.
Do you pay that all at once?
We have options at my firehouse of payment plans. You can either pay it per pay period.
You laugh, but guys get all upset about it. Trust me.
Is there interest on that, or do you get a discount if you prepay for the year?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
We do.
Do you post their balance so you shame them into paying? We do.
We do. Absolutely.
Especially the Chiefs at my station. They make the most and pay the least. Deadbeats.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just, listen, man, it's same circus, different clowns. It doesn't matter where you are, buddy. Whether you're over there in the West Coast in California or out here in the East Coast, it's the same group of guys and girls, no matter where you work.
Same derelicts.
So Jamie, where do you want to start off in this conversation? Because for anybody who's listening to this or watching this, we've got an entire spreadsheet and breakdown outline that Jamie put together for this podcast. So, where do you want to start with this, Mike?
Sure.
I was just gonna say, like, for somebody that's just tuning in, like, I know we've chatted offline, but like, somebody's like starting this episode, they're like, well, I'm not interested in flying first class and doing all this crap, but like, really, this is applicable if you spend money. Right? Like if you put fuel in your car or you buy groceries or you pay bills, like this could apply to you. Like you could be basically getting free stuff in essence for bills that you're already paying, correct?
For just your everyday.
So like that's how this applies to everybody, even if you're not looking to fly first class across the country type thing, correct?
Exactly. Or cool. To Europe or exactly wherever. Yeah.
Right.
There's people go into it in way extremes, right? I'm not that guy. I'm very simplistic, right? There's all kinds of buying groups out there. There's manufactured spending. There's all kinds of tactics involved in this. Yeah. I'm not that guy. I know about it.
If you want to buy a case of beer, you could make money with your credit card here.
You got it. That's exactly right.
Stay tuned.
Yeah. A commercial break. Here we go. First of all, I got to tell you guys, listen to a couple episodes here and there. I'm trying to listen every week. I'm all in on goats. I got to tell you.
I'm telling you, man. We're gonna get some goats here.
Yeah, I'm all in. Let's invest our money in goats and rent them out. I mean, that is
right.
That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
We can sell branding and paint them up like a NASCAR.
Jeopardize number 24, coming around the bend, going for the hedges.
Man. Anyway, so I wanted to first talk about it because Mike, like you mentioned, people are super hesitant when you get in and talk about this kind of stuff. They immediately start to shut down. So when I start to talk about this at work, guys are like, that's some dumb scam. Like, I can't believe you do that. Like, that's absolutely ridiculous. And I'm like, no, it's not a scam. It's a real thing. People really do this. I've been doing this for close to 5 years or more now, and it's it's out there, right? You just getting into it and getting people exposure to it is people are super hesitant about it, right? So I wanted to talk about some myths involving credit cards, right? And I've got those listed here in the spreadsheet, so we can go down each one of those, or we can just hit a couple, whatever you guys want to do.
Let's go down
But
the list. I mean, this is well
yeah,
thought out, so this will help.
yeah. So I had 10. I cut it down to 5 just for time's sake. But the one I have up there is checking your credit score will hurt your credit, and it's absolutely not true, right? It's absolutely not true at all. There's two types of inquiries typically when you go to check your credit. There's a soft inquiry, which if you personally want to check your credit, and which you're allowed to do, by the way, once a year for free, and I've got that listed here, that website, and we'll talk about that in just a second. But if you do apply for a card, or if you do apply for a mortgage or a car loan, right, you're pretty familiar with a hard inquiry. And that does knock down your credit score about maybe 2 or 3 points or so at a time, right? That's the only time that goes below that. If you want to continually check your credit with like via apps with Experian or FICO or whatever app you have in order to check your credit on a monthly basis, it doesn't hurt your credit at all, right? That information is out there for your benefit. Now, when I go to apply for a card, yes, my credit score does drop by a couple points, like I mentioned, maybe a max of 5 points or so, 3 to 5 maybe. But it eventually goes back up, and it goes back up tenfold, right? In the long run. So it's a long run. It's not a short term game. It's a long run game. It's a marathon, not a sprint, rather. But just because you create a hard inquiry on your credit report doesn't mean it's a very negative thing at all, right? It only lasts for a couple of months, and then your credit score goes up if you're
Diligent.
responsible. Yeah, if you're responsible, exactly. But again, soft inquiries, you probably get a lot of emails and or letters in the mail from banks. Hey, we want to give you this credit card. We want to give you this loan or whatever, right? Those are soft inquiries. That stuff's on your credit report. So if you ever pull up, you can see exactly what companies have your information, and you can see when they pulled your soft inquiry, your credit report, in order to give you that pre-approved offer, right? So number one, it doesn't hurt your credit score at all. The second one I have is there's only one single credit score. That's absolutely false as well. There's 3 different credit bureaus, and I think Aaron, you mentioned a fourth, which in the notes here, which I'd never heard of before. But the three that everybody knows about and loves are Experian, of course, Equifax, and TransUnion. All 3 different credit bureaus. Not every credit card out there reports to all 3 credit bureaus. Most people don't know that, right? They think if I open up a card, it's going to show up on all 3 of these credit bureaus. It's not the case, right? And I have listed here the most popular ones, and most of the popular cards that I have. You can see that Citi only reports to Equifax and Experian. American Express pulls primarily from Experian, but sometimes they go through Equifax and TransUnion. Chase uses all 3. They're the only one that does that. So again, little things that you gotta kind of do your own research on to figure out what are the banks exactly going to do with my information, right? It just takes a little bit of effort on your part to look into the what's in the fine print, rather.
So one thing, Jamie, I want to talk about is it's like, so if I pull Experian, if somebody does a credit pull, a hard pull, and does Experian, they're estimating what the scores are going to be for TransUnion and Equifax. And if I go to TransUnion, they're estimating the average is going to be for Equifax and Experian. So like you can technically get 9 different scores on your credit depending on who pulls it and what kind of estimations and the dates they have for them. Some can be 30 days behind. I've seen other ones further than that. But like when you pull your credit card, you're not going to get the same score or your credit, you're not going to get the same score every single time, right?
Right. Okay. And there's like I said, like I mentioned earlier, there's popular apps out there. There's Experian, there's Credit Karma, which everybody's pretty familiar with, right? That may not be the most accurate. They use what's called a Vantage score rather than your FICO score. The preferable one out there is most definitely the FICO score. That's the one I subscribe monthly to that one to get that access every month. And every 3 months, they send me a complete profile of all 3 scores. That does cost a little bit of money, but I think that's important to me. So that's why I feel that fee is necessary, and I go ahead and I pay it. Let's see, what else do I have here? So what is your FICO score, right? So what are normal range numbers, right? What is it? It's anywhere from 300 to 850. Now, my credit score is 760. That's an excellent range. Typically, above 750, you're not going to get any. And Tyler, maybe you can talk to this point. Typically, over a credit score of 750, if you have a score between 750 and 850, your rates are not going to be any different, right? If you're once you're in the excellent range, the excellent, you're not the bank isn't going to look at you any different. They're going to give you the same rate. They're going to give you the best rate possible. So kudos to guys that have a score over 800, but once you reach about 750 or so, you're good to go, right? Yeah.
Just a vanity number at that point. Yeah, I mean, almost every single lender 740 and above is top tier pricing. After that, it's just kind of a measuring contest, if you will.
Right.
So,
We do a lot of
yeah.
that in the fire department, don't we?
Oh, for sure, yeah. And FICO's
Yeah.
crazy too because they have 16 different scoring models too. So
They
when people
do.
pull their
Yeah.
credit, like as a consumer pulling credit, your score is going to be different than when I pull your credit as a mortgage broker. And people are always, well, wait a minute, I just pulled my score. It's Credit Karma. Everybody says Credit Karma, and I'm
Yeah.
like, no, those are two totally distinct models.
That's like FICO score is different than your credit score as well. So, do you guys, Tyler, as a lender, do you guys look at the FICO score?
That's what we look at. So we look at your FICO scores from all three bureaus, and then we take the median score. So whatever one is in the middle, that's the one that we use for anything like that. So that is the hard part. And to that point, so all three credit bureaus report differently, and they may not have the same info. So sometimes you'll have a collection pop up on Experian, for example, that it won't show up on Equifax or TransUnion, and your score is super low. But as long as usually 2 out of 3 are very close, you may have one that is way out there. And from my understanding, a lot of it varies on where the actual creditor is based. So a lot of it's regional reporting. Like a lot of the stuff out here is Experian. East Coast, I feel like, is Equifax. And then TransUnion may be right down the middle. But I do feel like there is some type of regionality as far as reporting goes.
So, Jamie, let's go a little bit further into this thing. So, you got the credit score, you got the FICO score. So now we're on to let's go buy a credit card. So what are we looking for?
Sure. So I'm going to scroll down my notes a little bit further, right? So there's I call it the rules of engagement, right? I always suggest people start off with Chase Bank, and there's a reason why we do that. Obviously, they're one of the big top 3 banks out there, and it's typically the best one to get started with. And there's a reason why. And there's a silly little rule. It's called 524. And what 524 means is if Chase sees it and they look at your credit score there, or they look at your credit report and see that you've opened 5 cards in the last 24 months, they will automatically deny you for the card you're applying for. So it's to your benefit if you're going to start off to get a card to immediately apply for a Chase card first, right? They have a whole gamut. They have a whole profile or a selection of great cards out there. Whether you want cash back or you're after points and miles, it doesn't matter. They have a great options out there. So that's why it's to your best benefit to most definitely start off with a Chase card, because you're using up one of those 524 spots for that Chase card, right? And again, if you have a score over 800 but you have opened 5 cards in 24 months, they're not going to look twice at you. They're automatically just going to deny you based off of that fact at all. And that's a rule that most people don't know about. So they get all upset that they've been denied. I have excellent credit. Well, it doesn't matter in Chase's eyes. You've opened 5 cards in 24 months, right? That's their hard line that they're looking at, right?
So closing a credit card. So if I want to close a credit card, one of the myths is that it's going to affect my credit score. What do you think about that?
Yeah, definitely not. The complete opposite, right? So you don't want to close your credit card at all. So I have my oldest card is 16 years old. That's what we call a sock drawer card, right? I still have it. It's worthless, but it shows up on my credit score as my oldest card, right? As a revolving credit line, right? So I continually have that card in every. I can't remember the name of it right now. I have to go to my sock drawer and look at it. I pull it out every so often. I go buy like a pack of Tic Tacs at the grocery store, and I pay it off immediately and put it right back in the sock drawer, right? All I'm doing is I'm keeping that line of credit open, and it shows to the bank that I'm responsible, that I've kept that credit line open for X amount of years. So the longer you have a credit history, the better, right? So that's more or less looking at your FICO score as a whole, as like I like to call it a pie chart of factors, right? The number one thing on that is your payment history, your 35%. It's the single biggest factor in your FICO score is how well do you pay that credit card off.
What do you mean the
And
35%? Like as in you pay
That
35% of the
like
balance off?
no, your payment history, like so you have a balance on your card, you pay it off at the end of the month, and or you don't pay it off at the end of the month, right? But you make the minimum payment on it, or you make a little bit more than a minimum payment on it, what have you. It just shows like on time regular payments is what shows up, and that's the biggest tier or the biggest percentage part of that pie chart is your payment history. So the banks want to see that you're responsible, and that you're whether or not you carry a balance or not. Obviously, carrying a balance is not recommended, but if you do, that you're paying that minimal amount, you're paying that minimum balance, or you're paying a little bit more. You're just making regular on-time payments, right? That's your payment history. Again, that carries 35% of your score, so it's huge.
Gotcha.
Yeah. The second portion of that is the amount of debt that you have. So that's 35% of your score. That's the second most important factor. Commonly referred to here as your credit, your debt utilization, or your DTI, debt to income ratio. So again, if you make, and this is another myth which we didn't hit, is your income has everything to do with your credit score. That's absolutely false, right? Um, your income has nothing to do with your credit score. Wherever that your income may have to come into play is your debt to income ratio, right? So you pull in $80,000 a year, but you've got $60,000 worth of debt, right? So or you've got $30,000 worth of debt, right? So this is where that 30% comes into play.
All right. So the average, I just looked this up when we first started this. The average card holder carries a balance of around $5,500 to $6,000 on their credit card. So when you look at percentages, with the average percentage being between 16 and 20 some odd percent, you're going to end up paying, probably $1,000 a year on holding that debt. And a lot of people never look at their APR. So that's
Right.
one thing to keep in mind when we talk about this is carrying the debt on the card. You ideally don't want to carry the debt from month to month. You want to pay it off. But that always goes back to budgeting and, the
Right, lifestyle, right? Yeah.
framework.
And life happens, and everybody has families, or stuff happens, and you got to put a big expense on a card. Not everybody can pay it off all at once at the end of the month, and I'm going to say that's just life. That's just how it happens, right? I've been there. A lot of guys have been there. It just happens, right? But what's important is knowing how to get out of that the correct way, right? Knowing what's the best decision, paying off a card with the highest interest rate first, if you do carry a balance, right, going down the line that way. The next,
For the FICO pie chart, so you did payment history is 35%. Just to recap,
Yep.
Amount of debt is 30%, and there's three more factors. What are those factors?
Yeah, length of credit history. Again, this goes back to your opening your card. So I think like I said, my oldest card is 16 years, 16 years old. That has a huge amount. It's only 15%, right? But again, that's another important factor for the bank. How long have you had credit? How long has the bank loaned you credit? And are you responsible with it? So again, that's 15% of your credit score. And the last thing is new credit. How much new credit have you applied for in the last few months, right? Or the last 6 months or over a year? That's 10% of your score. Generally considered to be safe when you start opening up cards. It's okay to do so every 90 days. Can you open up more than that? Yes, you can. But in the bank's eyes, generally when you play the safe game like I do, it's generally once every 90 days.
There's a lot of numbers.
Oh, and then yeah, lots of numbers, right? And then the last one, I'm sorry, is your credit mix, and this takes into consideration all different types of credit accounts. It doesn't have to be cards specifically. It could be your retail accounts, your cards, your installment loans, your mortgages, your car loans, that kind of stuff, right? What is a good credit mix? So the bank wants to see that you're responsible in every light. They want to see that you're responsible with credit cards. They want to see that you're making on-time car loan payments if you have a car loan, what have you, right? So they want to see that, and if you have a mortgage, if you ever missed your mortgage payment, they're looking at all these different factors in order to make a decision based on your credit in order to lend you money.
Okay, so go back to I know on our notes it has the 50-24 rule. So 5 cards in 24 months is what you can get, and if you get 5 cards in 24 months or more than that, it's not going to affect your credit score. Am I reading that right?
Right. All it is a hard fast line for Chase, right? If you go to apply for a Chase card and you've opened up 5 cards more than 24 or in 24 months rather, they're all just automatically going to deny you. Just based on that rule. It doesn't matter if you have a very high credit score or not. If you don't care about 524, you could open up Citi cards, you can open up American Express cards, you can open up Barclay cards. It doesn't matter. They don't. A lot of those other banks, they have some rules as well, but they're not as strict as Chase is.
Okay, so how about American Express? It's the 1 in 5 rule. Can you explain that one?
Yeah. So American Express is, I would say, a little bit more lenient, more so than Chase. They have the 1 in 5 rule, like Aaron mentioned. So you can open 1 card every 5 days. The rule is exactly how it sounds. You can't be approved for more than 1 every 5 days. And people are like, why on God's green earth would you want to open more than 1 card every 5 days? Why would you want to do that? Well, sometimes when you get into the points and miles game or the cashback game, you're looking at sign-up bonuses, and sometimes cards offer an opportunity for you to have no lifetime language, and that's another thing we're going to talk about. That all that means is you can open up the same card and get the same sign-up bonus over and over again. Recently, American Express has been doing that. They've offered a lot of no lifetime language clauses in their fine print, which allows you to continually open up the same card and get the same sign-up bonus over and over again, right? I don't know why American Express is being so generous with this right now, but they are one of the top banks that I work with right now as far as cards go in order to get the amount of points that I want in order to go on the vacations that I want to go on. So
I always thought American Express was like expensive or something, and I know a lot of places didn't accept it. I just remember it saying like American Express isn't accepted. So what is the difference? Because aren't they different than a credit card? They're a charge card.
So they do. So yeah, I have that listed here as well. So they do have. There's 3 different types of cards out there, right? So what you just mentioned, Mike, was a charge card, right? So all that a charge card is you need. They require that you pay the balance of that card off every single month at the end of the statement close, right? That's a charge card, and American Express is famous for that. The second one is just your everyday regular credit card, where you're allowed to carry a balance if you want to. Again, not recommended. And then the last one is business cards. But the reason why a lot of retailers out there don't allow American Express is because they charge, right? Every time you swipe that card at a retail, at a grocery store, at a retail store, a restaurant, what have you, right? They are charging that that establishment a certain percentage in order for them to allow them to have the consumer the opportunity to in order to swipe that card there. I know that I said that in a bunch of words.
They make money 2 ways. Either you carry the balance, or the business allows them to use their credit card there, and they charge the business for it.
That's exactly right. And the reason why a lot of establishments don't want American Express is because they have a higher percentage fee in order to have their product in their store. That's why.
So it costs more to use it. If you're the retailer, it's a higher transaction fee than say a Visa.
You got it.
So
yep, that's exactly right.
That's kind of a downfall, because then if you're the card holder, it's like, well, I can't use it everywhere. So you basically would have to have an American Express and a Visa.
Right.
And if you use your American Express places, if you ever do have one of those months, like you mentioned, where you need to carry a balance for a little while, you can't do that with American Express. So what's the real benefit then to have an American Express? Because I know a lot of people are always like, oh, I got the Centurion card and all this other, American Express, blah, blah, blah. But I don't have one. I take that back. My one Lowe's card says American Express, but
right.
It's like, what's the point of having it then? Just in case they have really good rewards initially, or
they do have really good rewards, and they have, like I said, they're doing this no lifetime language thing right now, where it allows you to open up the same card over and over again if you want to, in order to get that same large sign up bonus. But again, you're spreading your wealth across all banks, right? So I have the 3 big players I have is Citi, American Express, and Chase. I have cards open with all 3 of those banks, right? It just shows the credit bureaus that you're responsible across all 3 major banks out there. That's how I look at it. But why would you want to carry American Express? I carry American Express specifically because of the benefits.
What benefits, like when you sign up for it, you get either points or you get kickback, or like what are the benefits that you have when you open up a credit card or in general or a spending card?
Sure. So again, I'm in the points and miles game. So I look at what are the current cards out there? What are they offering? And there's research that goes into this, right? So where is it exactly that I want to go? Do I want to go to the Caribbean? Do I want to go to Europe? Do I want to go to Sedona, Arizona, right? And so you have to look what properties or who flies there. That all comes into play as to what cards you open, right? That's why I said that this is a marathon game, right? You have to look at all those different factors in order to figure out which card it is I want. But generally, over the course of the year, the banks, what they do is they offer upgraded sign-up bonuses. So you say, what a sign-up bonus is okay, you open up this card, we're going to give you 80,000 membership reward points, which is American Express, or Chase Ultimate Reward Points, which is of course Chase, and then there's Citi Thank You Points. And they're going to give you X amount of points for X amount of spend. So let's say you have 3 months to spend $4,000, and we're going to give you 60,000 points. And then it's up to you to use those points to the best advantage, to the best way possible, to get the most bang for your buck out of those points on the back end, right? And that's where I come in. Right? I teach you how to do that.
This is what Jamie was giving me a hard time about before, is when Spirit Air opened up, I got their credit card and I got a bunch of miles off of it. And he's like, that was terrible. Like, why would you do that? It's stupid. So certain cards carry certain benefits and other ones are just kind of a waste. So when he's talking about these points and benefits, his travel miles. Like, he likes to travel. He goes to Disneyland. He goes to Sedona, and he uses these credit cards to pay for these trips. He just got back from, we were just talking about Sedona before this podcast started, and he stayed at hotels based on using the points on the credit cards, right?
Right. Yeah, we stayed at the Hilton, but we were there for 7 days total. We flew first class on United. I used American Express points in order to do so on their travel portal. I got a 35% rebate because I have an American Express business card, business platinum, and you get 35% back of the points you use through their travel portal when you do that. We stayed at the Hilton Bedrock, which is a Hilton property. I have a card. I have the American Express Hilton Aspire card, which automatically gives you top tier elite status with that hotel chain. So when you get there, they give you a nice upgraded room. They give you free breakfast. They give you all these different benefits, right, that you would not normally have. And again, we stayed 5 nights at the Hilton Bedrock. I didn't pay a single thing. I used my regular everyday spend to put on the Hilton Aspire and my free night certificate, which comes along with that card, as well as the sign-up bonus from that card in order to stay there. Then we stayed at the Waldorf Astoria Biltmore, which is in Phoenix. Stayed there 1 night. The room I stayed in, normally cash price is over $1,200. I don't have $1,200 laying around. I've got 3 kids and a wife and 2 annoying dogs. I don't have it. This is why I play this game, right? This is how I get those luxury properties and those luxury airline seats, just being a regular fireman, just being a regular Joe, right? That's how I play this game.
Can you do this if you already have 3 or 4 credit cards? Are you able to, quote, play this game, or do you have to go open new cards in essence to do this? Or
obviously it depends on what you have in your wallet, right? It depends. If you don't have points in cards and you have cash back, and again, I'm not here to press out that points and miles is the end all be all. That's my passion, right? That may not be your passion, or to any of your listeners. They may be more of the cash back option. And there's certainly lots of great options out there for cash back. If you think cash is king, which it is, then go that route. You don't have to go down the points and miles route. You want to pay cash for stuff, then do so. It's okay. But typically, specifically talking to points and miles, each bank, Citi, Chase, American Express, they have points earning cards specifically out there in order to get into this world. Now, I think I have listed here. Chase specifically has some cards that are as they are their cashback points, or their cashback cards. as they are set normally, right, to the regular consumer. So I have listed the Chase Freedom Flex and the Ink Business Cash, which is a business card. Two Chase cards, which are great to start off with. The Chase Freedom Flex specifically, again, out there as it sits, is a cashback card. It has a 5% back on rotating categories. So currently, your rotating category right now, which is quarterly, is grocery stores. So you can get 5% cash back at whatever you spend in the grocery store, and that adds up over time, right? Yeah, obviously we all know how expensive groceries are right now. And then also you 3% back at drugstores and 1% everywhere else.
Do you write this on the card? Like, how do you keep
There-
this straight? Like, do you write a card, food, gas?
Right.
Like,
So
do you
people,
like take a Sharpie and write it on there? Or
I
what?
wish my wife was home right now. She's at work. I would go get her purse and I would show you the cards because I've done exactly that. I know that sounds ridiculous.
Because I'm trying to keep
I-
this straight. I'm like, I would never remember. That's
Right.
why I use the one card for everything. And
Yeah.
clearly that's not the best play if I'm trying to do this. But
Right.
like, yeah, I'm just, how do you make this like simple? And like, I get it if you're really deep into it, but like, what about the
Yep.
everyday person? It's like
I
not
got
going to
you.
dedicate
Yeah.
20
So there's,
hours. Is there
yep,
like a
there are
dumb
definitely
fireman version?
there are definitely apps out there for people like me, and for our listeners. I'm not by any means a wizard in this game at all. I do pay attention to stuff, which is why I can speak to it. But there's a app out there called CardPointers, which I use. And CardPointers, all it does is again, you input what cards you have. They don't ask for credit card numbers. They don't want that. All they want to know which card you have, and then they apply it to what's the best bang for your buck. So if you're at a grocery store, you can look at your phone. A little notification will come up on your phone, either via your location, and or you can set it, put it in your Apple Wallet, and you can say grocery stores, and it'll pull up, and you can look. Okay, I need to use this American Express Gold card at the grocery store because I'm getting 4x points per dollar spent at the grocery store. Right. This is
Now
my
we're
best.
talking. That's
This
the
is
who,
my
not how.
yeah. So this is my best option for this specific location. Or I'm at a big box store like Sam's Club, right? So this card specifically, the American Express Blue Business Plus, 2 points per dollar spent at everywhere. Or Mike, your Venture X card, another great card for everywhere else spend, right? We call that non-category spend or non-bonus spend. It's good, 2 points for every dollar spent everywhere, right? It's a great card for like a Sam's Club or Costco or like a retail store, stuff like that. But Card Pointers breaks down all that for you. Another great app out there.
Could you just clarify the name of that? Was it Card
Yeah.
Point Earners or Card Pointers?
Card Pointers?
Okay.
That's that
Just to
Midwest
make sure
accent.
we just
Is
have to
it?
get that straight in the show notes because
Yeah,
I didn't hear you correctly, but cool. Thank you.
it's okay. And then another great app out there which I use is Travel Freely. Travel Freely, and I have some links at which Aaron is going to put in the show notes for these specific apps and cards. But what Travel Freely does is it really, again, it doesn't want your credit card number, which is fantastic. It's not looking to sell your information at all. It's just looking to help you. It keeps track of how many cards you've opened over the course of however X amount of years. It also does suggest, based on what's in your profile, what cards you've inputted that you've told the app that you have, what the next best card is to open for you. So it keeps track of your 524 for you. It lets you know when your annual fees are coming up. It'll email you and send you a push notification about it. What else does it do for you? Again, it suggests which cards to open up next. What else? Yeah, I use that app specifically for my 524 status. So it'll tell me you have annual fee coming up on this card, or your one card has dropped off your 524 status, so you're welcome to go ahead and open up another card. It also keeps track of your one every 90 day, like we mentioned earlier, one card every 90 days. It keeps track of that as well. Again, it's just a free service out there, free app out there for people to use.
Tyler.
So I was just thinking. So you said, as long as you kind of know what you want to do, that's the kind of card you choose. So what you're making me think. Sorry for the animals going crazy in the backyard, but so for me, we want to go to Mexico in November, right? So if I know where I want to fly out of, where I want to go, and who makes that flight most frequently, look to see if that particular airline has a card with advantageous sign-up bonus, stuff like that, correct?
You got it. You hit the nail on the head. Absolutely. So you want to go to Mexico, go on. The first thing I do is I go to Google Flights. It's a free service that Google offers. You type in where you want to go, where you're coming from. You can look at nearby airports. They offer that service as well. Yeah.
So Tyler, one thing, Jamie, I want to talk about, because we're getting long in the tooth here. So we'll say credit cards. You can put in your kid's name, make them authorized users. So when I grew up, there was people who would use their kids to open up credit cards and then destroy their credit for nefarious reasons. But you can also build their credit a different way. So what's a good reason to let your family members use your credit cards to build their credit? Like, will you authorize a 13-year-old? Is there a minimum age? Like, tell me about that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So, of course, different banks have different rules, and I've got that listed here by your card issuers. So, American Express. So why would I want to do this, right? So let's answer that question, right? So my son is 9, and I want to make sure that by the time he turns 16 or 18, that he has a pretty decent credit score coming out of the gate, which I certainly didn't have when I was 18 years old. And I got into college, opened my first credit card, and I ruined it. But just like we all do, right? We've all been there. So I can add my son to my Capital One, or to my Chase specifically. He has a Chase card under my name, and all it does, and it's a sock drawer card. I take it out, I put a little spend on it, pay it off right immediately. Again, that shows good credit history on his part, that he's responsible. So by the time he is responsible, age of 16 or 18 years old, he's able to come out the gate with a decent credit score. So that's one reason why you'd want to add your children to that. And the rules on that are American Express has a minimum age of 13 years old. They do report to all the credit bureaus. Capital One does not have a minimum age. You can put your 16-month-old, your 15-month-old on, doesn't matter. Your Chase Bank does not, and Bank of America does not either. And all three of those report. Put me on mute for just a second, if you will.
All right, so guys, Jamie's juggling.
Michael Vick over here.
So now he's gonna go hide in the closet.
Got a headlamp.
So one of the reasons I bring that up is because I had a friend of mine in high school. He was one of the only guys I knew who had a credit card. And when they went out to dinner or lunch or whatever, like McDonald's, he'd be like, "All right, give me cash, and I'll put everything on my credit card." So hey, actually,
young hustler.
Yeah, he was 100%. This is the same guy that has the dumpsters. So like he learned that like early on age, like you can use credit to your advantage. I think his parents actually taught him that. But that's like just for discussion purposes. Like if you want to build your kids' credit card and credit up, like you can just go and put stuff in their name and pay it off every month. Like, but the key is like pay it off every month, because otherwise you're going to destroy them. They're going to be behind the 8 ball going into it.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of like a preconceived notion about credit cards. Is you hear that just like you hear rentals, and people automatically think it's bad. And it's just a tool. Like if you're responsible with this tool, like it's extremely effective. Like I pay my credit card off every month. Like, but I get it. There's people that just take this thing and just destroy themselves and set themselves back so far because they're just like, caveman with a laser gun. Like
when we talk about this stuff, like for credit cards, there's one of the points that Tyler was bringing up in our private chat is you have to pay attention to the annual fees. Like, does the benefits from this card overtake the annual fees for this what I'm paying? So like if you're going to get a $1,200 room at the Boardman Marriott or wherever it might be, then yeah, paying $75 a year to have this credit card might make sense to you. Some people it might not. So we just went on a nice tour of Jamie's house. So if you guys watch this on YouTube, you'll see the ins and outs and know all the nooks and crannies now and where the dogs are hidden.
Right. Yeah. Those are my killer attack toxins, by the way. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. So Aaron, to your point, what you just said specifically, a lot of cards come with a lot of high annual fees. And when you get in the points of miles game, there are some high profile cards out there, specifically like the Amex Business or the Amex Platinum or Business Platinum. It carries an annual fee of $695. People are like, that is absolutely ridiculous. Why would you ever pay $695 to hold a card? Or that Hilton Aspire I was mentioning earlier has an annual fee of $450, right? But what did I tell you earlier? I stayed at a room using the free night certificate that was issued by that card, which cost a retail price over $1,200. So look at the value I got out of that just in one night,
50
right?
cents on the dollar.
Right, right. So that's how you have to look at this, right? Again, just going back to the beginning of the podcast, how is this going to work for me, and making it work for you specifically, right? And that goes both ways. If you want to do cash back or points and miles, it doesn't matter. How are you going to get the most benefit out of it for you?
All right,
What your
so
goals are.
Jamie, in the outline notes that we have on the side, there's a lot of detailed information about like Capital One Venture card or the City Premier card, and like what the benefits they are. Within credit cards, do they share points? Like if I want to do like JetBlue to Spirit Airlines, don't judge me, people, don't judge me. Can they do that, or can I do like Aer Lingus going to Ireland with American Airlines? Like how does that work?
Yeah, great question. Great question, Aaron. Under the three cards I have listed, so for those who are listening, you can't see, I have the Chase Sapphire Preferred, I have the City Premier, and I have the Capital One Venture X. Both of are all three of cards which I have. And I highly recommend that people start, if they want to start out of the game, they want to start collecting travel miles, is to get into Chase first, again, to go under that 524 rule like we talked about earlier. But Chase specifically has something called Ultimate Rewards, and their card is transferable miles, right? So versus like Tyler, I think you mentioned earlier, you want to go to Mexico in November, and you see that United flies there. United has a whole gambit of credit cards specifically for United, and if you want to open up a United credit card and get whatever sign-up bonus, whatever mileage they're going to give you to opening up that card, then do so. If you want to fly them and you like that product, then go for it. I like using cards that are transferable miles. What transferable miles are, or points rather, are this. So Chase specifically, you can transfer those points to Aer Lingus, Air Canada, British Airways, Emirates, Flying Blue, Iberia, JetBlue, Singapore Airlines, Southwest, United, Virgin Atlantic, and then Chase Hotel Partners specifically. Number one, Hyatt. I am a Hyatt fanboy. I love Hyatt. Everything there is about Hyatt. They are number one as far as customer service goes, and treating those who have status the best possible way when you stay at their properties. IHG, which is like the Intercontinental or the Crown Plaza, or even to the mid-tier level like Holiday Inn, that's IHG, and then of course Marriott is last. So you could transfer all those Chase points that you accrue over time just by doing regular spend to every single one of those airlines we just mentioned, and one of three of those different hotel properties that we just mentioned as well. So that's why I like cards specifically that have transferable miles or points versus opening up a card like specific to United, or open up a Marriott card specifically just to get Marriott points, right? You can do that in addition to just to pad your balance a little bit. But if it were me just starting out, I'd most definitely go with the transferable miles or points option. And again, American Express, one of the big earner cards I have in my wallet, which I highly suggest, is the American Express Gold Card. We mentioned it earlier in the podcast. Gets 4x membership rewards at dining and at grocery stores, right? So 4x per dollar spent at dining and grocery stores. You can't beat it. They transfer to a lot of the same as what Chase offers. The big difference there is they do transfer to Delta. They also transfer to Avianca Life Miles. They transfer to Cathay Pacific. They also have one other hotel option. They have Hilton, and they have Choice Hotels. Choice Hotels is like
The Spirit Airlines of hotels.
Yes, yeah. Don't ever. However, if that is considered for the States, but if you go to Scandinavia, if you go to Norway, Sweden, over there, right, Denmark, the Choice Hotels over there are one of the best options out there. So,
okay, so when we talk about credit card, we're about 50 minutes into this thing, so I don't want to miss a couple of points I wanted to talk about.
It's okay.
So the one of the primary things is, to recap, we need to look at how much it costs a year to have these cards. We need to look at what the point system looks like. Are you trying to get cash back? Are you trying to get points? Are you trying to get air miles? What are you trying to do? In the credit card realm that you mentioned, a whole bunch of them, can we share points back and forth? One thing I really want to say is if you come up short on points, you can actually buy those points on certain websites. Now, I'm not going to go over them because I really don't know them off the top of my head, but there's websites you can go on and buy points or miles if you're short by 1,000 or 1,500 or 2,000 to cover, that free flight for you to go to Sedona, Arizona, to go to Disneyland, to go to, Frankfurt, Germany, where it might be. What other like highlight points do you want to hit on credit cards?
Let's see. I think more of what we've already talked about, really. Again, a lot of these cards come with high annual fees. The ones I mentioned here, the City Premier, the American Express Gold, and the Chase Sapphire Preferred. Chase Sapphire Preferred has an annual fee of $95. When you look at all the benefits, the effective annual fee of that one is $45. When you look at the American Express Gold card, the effective annual fee, what effective annual fee means, once you've used all the benefits of that card, is what you have left to pay over for that card specifically. So the effective annual fee is $45 for the Chase Sapphire Preferred. For the American Express Gold card, your effective annual fee is $10. That card has an annual fee of $250, but after you use all the benefits out of it, you're essentially paying $10 to hold that card in your pocket. City Premier, same way, right? Effective annual fee, you're actually making $5 off of that card by holding that card in your pocket a year. Some people may not look at $5 like a big deal, but to hold a $95 annual card fee in your wallet, but then actually make money off of it in the long run, is a pretty cool thing to me.
And don't some of those cards, like if you call them and you need concert tickets or something, like they almost have like a concierge service? So
they do. American Express specifically has a concierge service, MasterCard, World Elite MasterCard. So if you ever look at your cards and you see World Elite written on the back of it as a MasterCard symbol, they offer a concierge service as well. Typically, they
EBT.
they using your points and miles for concert tickets and or like Amazon gift cards, stuff like that, is not a great option. It's not the best use of your miles. Can you do it? Yes. It's not the best option. So you're not getting the best bang for your buck, or bang for your point rather, or mile, when you use it for that type of thing. They're best used in transferring to all those different airlines and or hotel partners that we talked about earlier.
So one thing, I just, while we were in this podcast, I looked at my statement for my Bank of America credit card, and I do cash back, and it was like $952 is what I got back this year, and returned cash. And Mike had a plethora of playing cards, i.e. credit cards he was flashing when we first started this.
Well, Mike, help me. What do I do here?
Yeah, you use them for business, you use them for Lowe's, you use them for construction. Like, Mike, what are you using? Mike and Tyler, like, what are you guys using for your credit cards, and what's the benefit for each one?
So each one, I couldn't tell you. Like I said earlier, I pay my property taxes every year with that Southwest card.
Why?
Because, well, I have to pay my thought process always has been I have to pay my property taxes anyways. And I can't pay all of my property taxes with that one card because the limit's not high enough. But like I usually end up with enough miles then for 2 round trip tickets on average by doing that. So to me, it's like I already have this expense. Why not use it to something? Basically what Jamie's doing, but I'm not doing it very smart. And then like everything else, like, direct mail, all my marketing, all the stuff I, was doing for flips. I mean, it was not uncommon to have a $50,000 bill every month. So like, that's a lot of spend. Now I've scaled way back on flips. So like that has changed significantly, but still, I put everything on my personal life on a credit card, gas, groceries, you name it. And then we just pay it off every month. I use what's called the Venture One card just because at the time, and this has been years at this point, it had like the best cash back or whatever. But I was also not diving deep into it like Jamie is. But that's what makes me think like, hey, if we went grocery shopping, I use this card, or airline tickets, I would use this card. Like, because obviously where the three of us live, Southwest has a real big hub in Baltimore. So like
Baltimore, right? Yeah.
There's a million. That's why I got Southwest, because there was just so many options versus like how many times am I flying to England? I'm not going to get the British Airways card, So
right.
So to answer your question, I put everything on it. And I just looked, because you said the same thing. I looked at my credit score, and I have almost 271,000 reward miles in my Capital One account, and I basically, it's like, what am I doing with them? Nothing. They're just sitting there. So it's like, I basically need to hire Jamie to coach me.
So Tyler, what about you? Like, what are you using your credit cards for now? Like, are you doing the same thing? Are you focusing on it at all?
Yeah, no, I mean, I have the Amex Gold business, because that one, it's like he's mentioned, ton of points, especially with the 2, 3, 4x. And then the Platinum I did because prior to me coaching all the time, I used to travel a lot for like investor fuel, stuff like that. And I loved the way they had all the airport lounges for free. All my baggage check was taken care of with Amex. The Uber credits every single month. There was like a bunch of stuff. And like Mike said, especially with flipping, yeah, $50,000 to $100,000 a month sometimes you're spending on these cards. It's like, dude, there's a lot of points, but I highly doubt it's that efficient, because we could probably spread that out all the way across. And the big one for me after a while was Home Depot. I forget what they called it, fuel rewards. I would use that to give to my project manager, kind of as a thank you, without me having to really pay for anything. I would get the fuel rewards, pass it on to him, and it was a cool gift for him because he hates driving that far without paying for all the gas, and it didn't cost me any money. So, yeah, I use it as much as I could. I think the Platinum it's one of my favorites, and I have a bunch of favorites too.
Yeah, we call, so in the business, people call it the Platinum card. That's called an anchor card. It's an anchor card. It's like the American Express Hilton Aspire card. It's another anchor card. It gives you all of those benefits you just mentioned, right? You get lounge access. You get $200 credits to use, $200 a year to use at a specific airline. God, but I can't even think of all the benefits of the business or the Platinum. But I have American Express Business Platinum, and the reason why I have that is because of the 35% retail bonus on those points. If I spend those points, it's through American Express travel portal. I get 35% of those points back. So I used to have the MX Platinum, but I changed it. I got rid of it, downgraded it to a gold, kept that line of credit open, downgraded it, which is another play, by the way, and then opened up the American Express Business Platinum so that I could specifically have the same benefits I had before. Just now I'm getting 35% back on points through that portal. But let's talk about business. Aaron, I don't know how much time we'll have, but since you guys are business owners and you're retail property owners, you have a lot of spend, you have a lot of capital, right? So a great card out there for you guys specifically is the Inc. Business Cash. And if you have the Chase Sapphire Preferred and or the Chase Sapphire Reserve, if you have the Inc. Business Cash, that then becomes a points earning card, even though it has cash in the name. So you're getting what that card offers is 5x or 5% cash back or points rather for $25,000 spend at Office Supply Card or Office Supply Depot. So you could go to Staples, you could go to Office Supply, what have you, and buy a gift card, and you're getting 5x on 5 points per dollar spend on that gift card purchase at that store, and then which you can go use at Lowe's, which you could go use at whatever gas station or grocery store you want to, right? So that way you're getting 5x spend on every single thing you have to spend money on.
So basically, like I have a credit card. I use that credit card to shop a specific store. At that store, I buy a gift card. I get the points and I get the gift card. So whatever you said is 5x. So if I spend $20, I get 100 points, right?
Yep.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
And then I can use that money. I can go buy 125.
125. Thank you. Yeah. See, good on the math. Look at that.
So either way, what basically you're doing is you're double dipping.
Yep.
You're using your credit card to double dip. So instead of putting the points on Amazon or Home Depot or Lowe's, you're putting the points on a gift card and then doubling your points and getting the return on the investment. Right.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
Anymore.
No, that was perfect. Again, business cards. A lot of people are shunned by business cards, and for you guys specifically, you all have legit businesses, right? So there's no fear there getting shut down by the bank. But you technically don't need a LLC in order to open up a business card. American Express specifically, all they want is your social security number, and you can use it as a sole proprietor. If you sell stuff on eBay, if you sell stuff on Etsy, if you own a lemonade stand, right? These are businesses in the eyes of the banks. How insignificant it is, it doesn't matter. You're still selling something and getting some sort of profit back. So you can therefore open up a business card. You don't have to have a EIN or a LLC to do so.
So Jamie, this will resonate with you. So we have a fire department credit union at your old firehouse. So we can take a loan out up to $7,500, but we get charged at 15%, and that's the number you need to focus on.
Yeah,
so
ridiculous.
Same thing for a credit card as this credit line that we have in the at our credit union. At $7,500, we lose $1,125 a year if we take the full amount out. And that's what people don't realize when they start pulling all this credit out and not paying it off is you're paying a lot of money with these high percentage rates. So if you don't take anything else from this conversation, just learn that you need to look at your APRs and see what you're paying out, what your expense ratio is to what you're getting. So have you seen any low APR cards, like low all the time, or just introductory rate low?
Generally, it's an introductory rate. They'll offer a 0% for 18 months or for 24 months or what have you, right? And then after that time period's over, then it will go up to the typical 16 to 20% or 22%, whatever you. The Fed just raised rates today or yesterday?
Right, so that I think, right?
Yeah.
Yesterday, yeah.
Yeah, so that in return applies to those APRs. It applies to that percentage point that you're paying on top of what you owe on the card if you don't pay it off or if you're not responsible with it, right? So what the Fed is doing directly affects your credit history or your credit cards, your annual percentage rates, your APRs.
Your pockets, your banks.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Hey, since you guys own properties, have any of your tenants mentioned the build card at all? BILT, it's called.
I've heard of it, but no, where they pay the rent on the card.
Exactly. So it's the new kid on the block. It has a 0 annual fee, which is fantastic. And it has a bunch of benefits that go along with it. One being you can go ahead and pay your rent with it. But if you live in a major building, which is owned by a huge investor, right? They typically work with those investors or those owners. You could pay your rent via that card, that build card, get 1x on it. And then they automatically get paid your rent. But for you guys specifically, for your tenants, if they have that card, even though you may not accept that credit card as a payment, they can pay built with the card, and then built will send you a check in the mail for the rent.
Or Venmo, right?
I don't know if they do Venmo, but I know specifically they'll send you an actual check in the mail.
Okay, so I was looking at this not too long ago. So it doesn't cost the owner of the property any money.
Nope.
It doesn't cost the renter any money. It's a 0%. So as long as you pay it off every month, they're gambling and betting that you're not going to pay it off every month. So if you don't pay it off, then it carries over to the next month.
I was saying they have a 0 annual fee, not their APR. Yeah. But again, that one specifically for those of people who pay rent out there, I have that card. I'm a homeowner. I don't pay rent. Obviously, I pay a mortgage every month to Navy Federal, but I have that card specifically because it has no annual fee. I get a bunch of benefits out of it, and I have those transferable miles and points I was talking about earlier that transfer to different hotels and different airlines. So
who does it transfer into? Do you know off the top of your head?
Yep. They transfer to Hyatt, IHG. They transfer to American Airlines, and they're one of the only cards out there that transfers to American Airlines. That's not an American Airlines card, which is kind of a big deal. Air Canada, United, Flying Blue, Turkish Miles and Smiles is another huge one. Emirates, Hawaiian, Virgin, Asian Miles, Iberia, Aero Club, which is Aer Lingus. So again, just by paying your regular bills, like we talked about earlier on in the podcast, you're getting all these benefits out of this card, and you're able to go stay at a hotel you would never stay at before, or take an airline trip that you've never been able to do before, just based off paying rent. You can't beat it.
Just by buying beer and gas.
Yeah, that's it.
Doesn't work for Hookers and Blow. Just let y'all know.
unless they take, they got that thing that goes in the phone.
The swipe.
You can swipe it.
Right.
Yeah.
Jamie, like, if I were trying to get into this, other than the First Responder Financial Freedom podcast, what are some other websites or podcasts that you would recommend taking a look at or listening to?
Yeah, so I really like Frequent Miler. These are both websites and podcasts. So they have a great one out there, a podcast, and then they also have they have a fantastic website, frequentmiler.com. Miles to Memories, 1 mile at a time, the points guy, of course. And then the great podcasts I listen to, in addition to you guys, is Miles to Go, Miles to Memories, Frequent Miler, GeoBreeze Travel, Disney Deciphered for us Disney nerds out there, and Disney Points Podcast, which teaches you how to go to Disney not only in Florida and Orlando and Disney, California, but Disneyland, France, or you want to go to Shanghai, right? Teaches you how to go to those different places just by using credit card points and miles. But again, not always out there do people really want to dive deep into it like I do, and that's fine. It's okay. There are other ways out there to redeem or to get cash back and or miles, and it could be as simple as clicking through a shopping portal. You guys use any shopping portals at all? Or
No.
heard of them? All right. So
Is that like Amazon?
Not
My wife knows how to use that.
yeah. So when the doorbell rang and the dogs went nuts, that's what that was. So that they're to my house about every 3 or 4 days or so. Yeah. So I understand.
3 or 4. We need to up those numbers, man. Those are rookie numbers.
Yeah, you're right.
You can't be getting
You're
points like that. Come
right.
on.
So Rakuten is otherwise formerly known as what was it? What was our previous name? I can't remember now. Ebates.
Can we get a portal for this show so it helps support this? I know the Jocko podcast used to do that for Amazon. Like, hey, hit this link, and like they got like a
So
like
I'm in
3 pennies or something.
Right on the dollar exactly. So I'm in the band, the DC Fire Department Pipes and Drums, and we have that for Amazon.
That's a great idea.
Yeah,
I
actually basically keep this thing afloat.
What did you say, Aaron? I'm sorry.
I added the pipes and drums a long time ago on Amazon. I completely forgot about that. Yeah, it still plays into it. Yeah.
We thank you.
Yeah, I bet you do.
I'm actually going to look into this now.
Yeah. So Rakuten is a great one. All Rakuten is, they offer a shopping portal. So you go to their website, right? And then they'll have a bunch of retailers. They'll say 5x, 8x, 12x, whatever it is that they're offering. And that goes either cash back and or points and miles. The way to unlock the points and miles for that one is if you have an American Express card, add that card to your Rakuten profile, and then automatically you're getting that money as points to your American Express account, your membership rewards account. But if you want cash back, they're fantastic for that as well. And then all you do is you click through their website, it takes you to the retailer's website, and then you automatically, based on your purchase, you're getting back whatever they're offering. You're getting back 5%, you're getting back 12%, 10%, whatever they're offering for that specific retailer. If you're looking specifically for more one retailer specifically, like say you want to go to United, or you want to go to, I don't know, you want to go to OfficeDepot.com or what have you, right? Cashbackmonitor.com is another really good one. It'll tell you exactly, you tell it what retailer you want to go to, and it'll tell you which shopping portal that you want to go through in order to get the most bang for your buck. So if you want cash back, it's going to tell you to go through this shopping portal in order to get the most amount of money back. If you want points and miles, it's going to tell you to go through let's say, for example, the American Express or the American Airlines shopping portal on OfficeDepot.com in order to get the most amount of airline miles back off your purchase, right? And that's cashbackmonitor.com. Again, free service. Rakuten, free service. Dining programs. There's a lot of dining programs out there. Again, these are free. It doesn't cost you anything to do it at all. Southwest, Mike offer this dining program. So you attach either your debit card or enter your credit card to the Southwest's dining program. And then anytime you go to one of their specific outlined restaurants, not only are you getting the cash back and or credit card miles based off your spend at the restaurant, but you're getting an additional amount back because that's one of Southwest specific restaurants that they have on their dining portal. So that's called triple stacking. See where I'm going with that? Yeah, it's all these little, and that's Southwest specifically. JetBlue has one, American Airlines has one, United has one. All you gotta do is Google it. You got to just put in Google American Airlines shopping portal and or dining program, and it'll come right up.
So there's like 15 sites that we can put in the show notes by the sounds of it that people can dive down these rabbit holes. But we're coming up on the time for the episode, and it looks like obviously we could talk about this at length when it comes to doing this or doing that. So as we start to wrap it up, Jamie, is there anything like, do you coach it, or is this just something you're passionate about? Is this
both?
I was joking. I was like, I need to hire you. But like, if somebody doesn't want to commit, Lord knows how much time you've done over the last 5 years to get to this point, but maybe they just want like hey, what should I use? I got 4 cards. Should I do this, or this? Is there a way somebody should reach out to you, or is there somewhere you'd recommend they go to basically get the condensed version, or just basically a mishmash of everything you just recommended?
Yeah. So those websites I mentioned earlier, those podcasts I listened or mentioned earlier are fantastic starting points for that. If you want to get a hold of me specifically, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter. It's man_Mac MAC 85. I do coach, like you mentioned, Mike. Appreciate the shout out. I don't charge a fee to do that. I feel like it's, I don't know. If you do feel like you want to open up a card, all I ask is that you use my referral link in order to do so. I don't get any money back for that. I just get a cash kickback from the bank. They'll give me like 25,000 points, or they'll give me whatever they're offering for referral links for that day. So I don't take any money for it at all. There are plenty of people out there that do. It's a quite lucrative business. I don't feel I'm not like an Instagram influencer like a lot of people are out there that do this. So I don't get a lot of affiliate links from the bank at all in order to do that.
You're not paying your bills with your affiliate
right.
links, is what you're saying.
Exactly.
It's just
it's a passion,
common courtesy, a little reach around.
Exactly.
Deal.
Yeah. That's all it is, man.
Right.
Again, I do free coaching calls if you want to hit me up on Instagram in the messages or on Facebook, what have you. I'm happy to sit with you and talk about your profile. What do you want to do? What is it you want to go down the cashback route? You want to go down the points and miles route? Whatever it is you want to do. Making the banks work for you is the end all be all, really.
That's the takeaway for this whole podcast. Is make the banks work for you, don't work for the banks. So you want to make money off them, not them make money off of you. Yeah,
exactly. And I'm happy to help teach people how to do that.
So we're gonna wrap this thing up. We're a little long in the tooth, hour and 10 minutes. So is there anything you want to wisdom you want to impart on us before we leave?
I think we've covered. Oh God, we've covered a lot. No, I don't think there's anything else we can add to it. Again, I think Aaron, you hit the nail on the head when you said it just then. How do you get the most benefit out of it for you, right? What is it that you're looking to do, right? If you're gonna spend money anyway, like Mike is saying, you're buying beer, groceries, then you might as well get a little something back for it, right? So there's different options out there for everybody. My option may not be the answer for everyone, and that's okay. You may want to go down a different route, but just know that there's venues or there's routes out there for everyone. There's options for everyone. Doesn't have to be specifically points and miles. Doesn't have to be cash back, right? Just taking a look at what you have in your wallet, or taking a look at what programs are out there in order to help you to get what you want to go, right? And they're certainly there. We mentioned a bunch of them in the last hour and 10 minutes.
So if you could go back and do this over, what advice would you give the listeners for this specific type of investing, we'll call it?
Don't use your points and miles for magazine subscriptions. That's like a number one thing. Don't use it for Amazon gift cards, right? Look at those transferable miles and look at the different airline partners that those transfer to, and look at the different hotel programs that those transfer, and use it specifically for those. If you're going to start out with a credit card, start out with Chase immediately. Always start with them if you're looking at the 524 status. Once you do get the card, don't be like me when you're 18 years old in college and max the hell out of that thing like I did. I got in trouble with it like everybody does when they're 18 years old. I paid the price for it. I had a score well under 600 until I got into my early 20s, and until I started to really look at how is this affecting me? Why is my car loan so high? Why can't I get? Why are they charging me this X amount of money for rent over what's posted? Right, all that stuff matters. So be responsible with it. If you need help with it, there's avenues out there to help you learn and understand credit. Of course, I offer the coaching services. I'm just one person though. Use these websites, use these apps that we mentioned out there to help you learn this process, right?
And don't overspend, and know what your limits are, and pay attention to your budget.
Yes.
I don't have anything else. Mike, Tyler, you guys any wisdom you want to impart before we roll out?
No, but thank you. This was cool. It was very informative.
Yeah, this is one of those things. Like I have more questions now than when we started, probably. But it's one of those things that's like right underneath your nose. Like, what do you have to complain about? Too much opportunity. Like, and this is one of those, like, there's opportunity right in your wallet right now. for things like that you're already buying, like why not take advantage of it? Right.
Exactly.
It's just kind of crazy. Like, I don't know. It's right there and you don't even realize it. So I appreciate you kind of exposing it a little bit, because now I'm like definitely kind of like racking my brain, like how can I be way more efficient with this? Because I'm definitely not.
Who can I hire to manage this?
Yeah, exactly.
Jamie McMahon. One thing I want to leave. So a lot of people who have burdened on their finances for overspending, you can actually consolidate some of your loans and put it onto a credit card with a 0% APR for up to 18 months. So instead of paying like 24% on a credit card, you can combine 2 or 3 or whatever, consolidate loans and put it onto a 0% APR. So if you are in debt and you feel like you're starting to drown and not treading water yet, then at least you can tread water with a 0% APR for up to 18 months. So keep that in the back of your head too.
Yeah. If you have a gambling problem, please reach out to the, you know, like on the bottom of the billboard. I feel like that's where we're at.
Right. No, I know. It's a dangerous game. Finance is a you know, you guys are the perfect audience. It's if you're diligent with it, you're diligent when you're spending, like Aaron was saying, it's going to work for you. You're going to be able to take those trips. You're going to be able to accrue those miles or points or cash, whatever it is that you want. You just got to be careful. You just got to know your limits, know what your budget is, how much you can afford to spend every month, how much you can afford to pay in credit cards if you're going to carry balance, right? It's just all the information is out there, guys.
Yeah. Jamie, thanks for spending an hour and 15 with us, and all the listeners, thanks for listening. Reach out to him. If nothing else, it's a good person in your network to have. He probably knows more about credit cards than most of us combined. So James, thanks for being with us, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you guys for having me. Take care.
Thanks again for spending some time with us today. If you found value in anything you heard, please share with someone who may benefit. We look forward to connecting between shows in our Facebook group, First Responder Financial Freedom. Till next time.